We're heading for Komodo Island in Indonesia. Komodo is an island of mystery, almost mythical, because of its famous residents, the Komodo dragons, the largest lizard on the planet. They can grow 3 meters long, and the average adult weighs around 75 kilograms. But one hulking fellow tipped the scales at more than 166 kilograms, over 356 pounds. Enough to send chills up your spine when you know what these fearsome predators can do. Komodo is one of the 17,000 islands, large and small, that make up Indonesia. Around 2,000 people live here in wary proximity to one of the most ferocious carnivores on the planet. The rugged island terrain consists of broad mountain valleys, savanna, and arid plains, characteristic Komodo dragon habitat. Surprisingly, scientists didn't officially discover the species until 1910, though we know that they've shared their island with humans for many hundreds of years. The Komodo dragon is part of the varanid family. It's a carnivore, an ambush hunter, rapidly charging its prey without warning. It can reach a speed of 20 kilometers an hour over short distances when attacking, but it is also a carrion eater, ready to chow down on almost any animal carcass. It's even been seen rooting through cemeteries, forcing villagers to move graves to protected areas. The Komodo dragon is perfectly adapted to its environment and can live to the age of 50. It's one of the rare vertebrates that can reproduce by parthenogenesis. Females are able to lay viable eggs without male fertilization. The species is endemic to Indonesia and is found mainly on Komodo, Rinca, and Flores Islands. Komodo dragons are designated vulnerable on the list of endangered species. The population is estimated at between 4,000 and 5,000. However, recent surveys recording an abnormally low number of reproductive females have alarmed the scientific community. In 1980, a national park was created for their protection. Park authorities are mandated to protect the territory essential for their survival, as well as ensuring that the Komodo dragons and their human neighbors can safely share the island. Biologists monitor the Komodo dragon populations throughout the vast Indonesian territory. Ahmad and Denny work for a local NGO, and over the years, they've become experts in all things Komodo dragon.
Welcome on board. Thank you.
Sedna 4 will serve as base camp for the next population census to take place on a number of islands in the sector.
Okay, so here we are, the famous Komodo Island, Rinca. Where do you work mainly?
We have 10 sites. So we work in Komodo Island, Rinca Island, Nusa Kode Island, and also Gilimatang Island. Basically what we're doing is this is a collaboration project between the national park and our organization.
How many people work with your team?
Normally we work 7 people involved.
In this trip, we have 2 visitors from the American Zoo. So one from Los Angeles Zoo, then the other one is from Knoxville Zoo. So because our project is also funded by some zoos in America, so they come here, help us, and also checking to see the...
And then see the... they also learn how to maintain the population here.
So what do we do this morning?
We will start to set up camera trap here.
The main idea is to know whether the dragon present in this area or not.
Let's go then.
The census covers a huge territory, and the biologists are working with limited means. A number of American specialists have come to lend a hand to their local colleagues. The scientists hope to learn more about this still little understood species.
This place is unique. Every time I wake up in the morning and I walk outside, I see something that I've either never seen before or only seen on TV, you know, only read about. It's truly like waking up in Jurassic Park.
Ahmad and Denny's work so hard. Their work ethic is unparalleled, and I feel like they have a really good understanding of what to do to fully understand Komodo dragons.
That's the first site?
Yeah, this is our first site.
Label, udah.
You use goat all the time, or?
Always goat, because that's the best.
Goat smells really bad,
Yeah.
and I think it's the best bait for attracting the dragon.
Is there some problem with, people and livestock like goat?
Yeah, sometimes the dragon kill goat that belong to villagers because the deer is the main prey for dragon, and goat is just almost the same with
Yeah.
the deer. So we're taking the trial shot just
Yep.
to make the frame the bait is on frame.
Smile. So you use that for the smell around?
Yeah, yes, it's to attract the dragon. The dragon have very good sense of smells. They could smell for up to 1 kilometer. They have an organ called organ Jacobson, so they don't use the nose like us. By the end of the tongue, the chemical receptor, and they will transfer the chemical they take from the air to that organs.
Oh, yeah.
It's to make sure it's cover all the area.
On Komodo Island, the favorite prey are deer, goats, and water buffalo. But dragons are not picky eaters. They'll eat anything they can sink their teeth into, living or dead. They like to hide and wait for their prey near water, ready to charge the moment an animal lowers its guard.
On the exterior, they seem like this otherworldly, anachronistic creature that still exists on this earth. There was one situation where a dragon had tried to kill a water buffalo, had been unsuccessful, and the buffalo hit it, with its head, threw it into the air. Dragon landed and didn't move for 3 days, and then finally, after 3 days, picked itself up and walked away. So just kind of to say that they're indestructible in a way. I mean, you saw the scars on that individual, and they fight and they tear each other up. They drink disgusting brackish water that's probably tainted with all kinds of things, and yet they still persist. Overall, they're strong. I mean, they can keep going.
The biologists have set up a number of motion detector cameras all over the area. The smell of decomposing goat meat attracts the dragons within camera range, and their visit is documented.
Ooh. No doubt about the smell.
43 picture.
Oh. So
This is last one when we arrived. This is already dark.
pig.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
boar. It's quite a lot here.
Yeah.
That data is taken, and we get an idea what the density of the dragon population is. If it's ultimately, if we do this every year, we can see if the population is declining or increasing.
Okay, we will become two group. One group will be responsible on the left-hand side. To take 3 camera trap, and then the other side will be responsible to take 2 camera trap. Okay. Ambil itunya.
Denny leads the way. We have to keep our eyes open because dragons are experts at camouflage.
Oh, there's a dragon over there.
Oh yeah.
Can you see it? I would say it's probably size for female. It might be one of the dragons which is trapped on the camera trap.
Yeah.
Danny, the tail still looks fat, so she probably didn't lay this year, huh?
Okay.
So this is a female. We think it's a female. She's not very big. In fact, she's probably about my height. It's amazing to see how these animals just disappear in the landscape. That's the greatest danger, mistaking one for a tree trunk or a piece of dead wood. You don't want that to happen.
Based on her body condition, she's probably hasn't laid eggs this year. She's still got a lot of fat stored in her tail. She looks very healthy. Oftentimes you're walking down the trail and you're not paying close attention, and next thing you know, you're a couple meters away from a dragon. Beautiful animal. Great to see.
When hungry, dragons will go for any animal around, including their own young.
There is kind of like shift between adult activity and hatchling activity. So in the morning, early in the morning, when the adult one active, all the baby will be on the tree, just to avoid cannibalism.
Yeah.
And then once the big dragon just slug, just because too hot, and then they can go to the ground.
Okay.
That's what we found so far from radio tracking study. Sometimes I would say female also, if the male can have opportunity, they will kill the female. That's right. That's happened in the zoo also. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Yeah.
Is there something that they don't eat?
Everything that
Vegetables.
only vegetables. Everything. They are top carnivore here.
The Indonesian government and the Indonesian National Park Service protect the dragons very well. It's the poaching, actually, of the prey items, the deer, the Sunda deer. They're a source of food, and without the deer, the Komodos would struggle.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm fine.
I'm good. How are you?
Any nice picture?
We are going to.
Okay,
we
great.
just started downloading the images.
Great.
Yeah. Have a seat.
Wow,
It's a big one.
that's a big one. Very big.
It's healthy.
That's big.
Big. Healthy as well.
Yes.
So this camera is record not only dragon but any animals that any movement.
Too big.
Chicken.
chicken.
Jungle fowl.
Can you do some photo ID with dragon to recognize them? I suppose
it's
when they
very-
have big scar, but it's too difficult.
It's very difficult. You know, there are some researchers use the camera to trying to identify how many dragon individual. They trying to use the macro capture method.
Yeah.
Because I think it's only could be done to animal that can be distinguished by the images
pattern,
For
like
example,
tiger.
tiger,
Yes.
and also the rhino.
It's hard to determine the exact number of Komodo dragons scattered over different parts of the island. The motion detector cameras will tell the scientists if there are Komodo dragons in a particular area, but the technique doesn't provide any specific information on individuals. If biologists want to follow the development of specific Komodo dragons over time, they have to capture them. A number of dragons have small transmitters implanted under the skin that identify and differentiate them. The catalog of Komodo dragons is a vital source of information on the biology of the species. But in order to access this information, you have to capture individuals.
Thank you.
The whole team meets at the entrance to Komodo National Park. For us, it's a big day. Capturing and handling this dreaded and powerful animal is a real challenge. Everyone is assembled and ready for action. The modular cages will be carried into the heart of dragon habitat. The biologists are confident they'll be able to catch one of the animals tagged in previous captures.
So these are the cages used to trap the Komodo dragons. They have just arrived from the village, so we'll take them up to the site. We'll set out bait and let's hope we manage to trap one.
Recapturing dragons is the only way to monitor the development of individual animals. And population monitoring allows biologists to track the animal's health over time and observe the growth of the Komodo dragons in ideal conditions. The national park is the last peaceful haven for this endangered species. The team will be assisted by staff from the national park. These park wardens have enormous experience in dragon territory and know how to react in the event of an attack. But no weapons. They defend us using only sturdy forked sticks to push the dragons away.
One trap will be set up here.
Okay.
Coming. I want to protect the cameraman and then everybody that goes there.
We are setting the cages up here. There are chunks of goat meat set out, and a male has already picked up the scent and is trying to approach. The guards are trying to control him, so it should not be too hard to trap one.
It takes several men to manage this large, hungry male. The smell of the goat meat excites the animal, but the park wardens keep things under control.
There are 3 baits that we put. One is in the front, the other one in the middle part, and the other one is tied to the string to the mechanical, so it's activated. So when the dragon came, they will grab the first one, the second one, and when he grabbed the third one, he can lift the traps and wait the dragon come.
Okay.
Everything's ready. The signal's being given. Now the wardens can get out of the way of the increasingly famished dragon.
We've got to be careful not to get bitten because they charge very quickly. It's amazing. They rarely attack humans, but when they do, it's a serious matter. What's the plan? We will open the door.
We will noose first, open one of the window here, and then pull one by one from the tail, and then hind leg, and then tie the hind leg. After that, pull again, tie the front leg, and then try to measure this dragon. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Go.
The animal's strength is tremendous. It's crucial that his powerful feet not touch the ground. He could knock over anyone trying to pin him down if he gets his feet under him.
Okay, you can sit there.
Sit there.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Good. A little bit more. Okay, Ahmad.
They tape the animal's jaws shut to prevent him from using this fearsome weapon.
Karung. Okay, Sidik, lepas.
Sidik, lepas. Now we're gonna check the dragon whether it's been tagged or not. So we usually put the tag on the right hind leg. So you're gonna check it with this thing. Yep. Yeah, so it's already. Okay. There's already ID. And I'm gonna check. So can help. Yeah. 000 643 58BA. So we're gonna check the record. Whether it's from this island or from other islands, just make sure. Yeah. The first time we catch this animal is on 2004, so it's 10 years ago. Okay?
What is the weight or the length? Total length, total body length?
Only 10 kilograms.
10 kilograms.
Wow.
It's still.
Now I would say this
young.
is 60 kilograms. We'll see later.
Yeah.
We will
And
see.
the total length is only 1.8 meters.
We have to measure the snout vent length because if the total length is important, but just because the dragon is not regenerate their tail, so this is the important one.
Can you
hold here? Okay, thank you, Zhang. 133.5. Total body length 2.66. Pull him.
Up?
Up.
Okay, one little moment.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. It's more than 10 kilos, that's for sure.
It's 60.
60. Yeah.
This is a male because usually the female is never weighed more than 40 kilograms and never had long more than 2.4. So 2.4 is the maximum for female. We never found female more than 2.4. So we can tell for sure this is a male.
And what is the sex ratio male-female in the wild?
Scientists believe that the ratio is 1 female for 3 males, but we still want to find out whether it's true or not.
How long can they live?
For the male, they could live up to 40 years, but when we're trying to estimate the age, some a very healthy animal, the male one, can live up to 60, but mostly they live 40 years old, while the females live shorter than the males. Probably they only live for 30 years. This pen is telling us that the dragons already been measured, so when the dragons come to the trap again, so we didn't have to
let them go.
just let them go.
First, we untied the legs, but people who handle the legs make sure his leg doesn't touch the ground, because once he touches the ground, he will be very strong and angry.
Guys, 1, 2, 3.
He's angry.
He's angry, eh? The strength of these animals is incredible. Wow. He's not happy there.
This Komodo dragon can now return to the peaceful forest of the park. He's lucky to live in a protected area. Here, hunting is banned. This allows his prey to reproduce and be present in large numbers. When food is abundant, the dragons rarely fight each other. But that's not always the case on other islands where there is less prey and where cannibalism has been observed. Komodo dragons do not live solely in protected parks where human activity is strictly regulated. In some areas, dragons and villagers have to share space, and it isn't always easy.
What is the relationship between the villagers and the Komodo dragons?
There is a mythology. The Komodo dragons actually family with the villagers.
And also when a dragon came into the village, for example, when they smells food, and the people didn't try to harm the dragon, they just pushed the dragon away.
We stopped at one of the small, isolated villages where people have to interact with Komodo dragons. Age-old myths underlie these shared living arrangements.
Nice to meet you. John.
John, where come from? Canada.
When I was a little girl, my parents told me a story of a woman who gave birth to twins, one a human, the other a dragon. The dragon ran into the forest. Since that time, we have a blood tie with the dragons, a tie so strong that we are forbidden to kill them. We are not allowed to harm them in any way. The dragons are actually humans with tails.
These widespread reliefs provide a level of protection for the dragons.
Dragons often attack cats or goats. One came right into my kitchen and ate my cat.
Kucing. Pokoknya binatang apa saja dia lihat itu dari atas tuh. Banyak pokoknya.
Traditionally, all families kept goats. Not anymore, though, because they'll just get eaten by dragons.
Tapi habis. Bagus.
This is where the dragons live. It's their home. And that's just fine because tourists come here to see them. It's fine with me if they attack cats, chickens, and goats, but not our children.
Goats, cats, dogs, and even chickens regularly fall victim to dragons who prowl the village. Villagers continue to hold the mythical animal in high respect, despite horrifying and sometimes deadly encounters.
It was a Friday. The children were all making their way home after a day at the beach. My son was sitting on the stairs. All of a sudden, a dragon leapt on his legs and threw him to the ground. I heard screams and ran to try to rescue him. When I got outside, there was blood everywhere. His belly had been ripped open.
When I got there, I screamed, "My son is dead." I couldn't believe my eyes. I felt his last breath, and I fainted. When I woke up, my child's body looked like the carcass of a dead animal. I'm still grieving. The wound is still there. It's still hard for me to talk about.
Tidak usah takut.
Nenek, kita dengar ada kejadian buruk menimpa nenek dengan buaya. Ya, bisa diceritakan apa yang terjadi, Nenek?
I was alone walking in the forest. A dragon came up behind me and bit down on my hand. I had a knife, but I didn't use it. I didn't want to hurt it. He's a member of my family.
Oh, okay.
I started kicking him to defend myself. Eventually, some people from the village came to help me. They got me to the hospital. I stayed there for a week.
Is it still very painful?
today?
Tidak, juga kalau tidak kerja tidak.
The nerves were damaged. You can see, this is where he grabbed me.
Dari ini ke urat ini.
When I move my hand, it's still painful.
Tulang ini tidak
But
patah.
I have to keep working to survive.
Kecupnya tangan.
Komodo dragons are natural predators designed to kill their prey. That's why they're at the top of the food chain. They've been on the island much longer than humans have. They lived in ecological balance with the other species in their ecosystem before their territory was occupied. For them, hunting for food is essential for their survival. It's also the role they play in nature, their vital function within the great chain of life. When hungry, Komodo dragons hunt. With no concept of right and wrong, they don't distinguish between a goat, a deer, or a child.
The dragon was 3.5 meters long. The next week, guards came and took him to another island. I can't blame the dragon. It was my son's destiny. That's all there is to it.
Every Friday I think about it. I pray that my son is happy where he is.
Destiny? Well, maybe. When individual lives are ruled by a society's values and beliefs. In the past, goats were sacrificed as offerings to satisfy the appetite of the predators and ward off attacks. But animal protection groups opposed the practice, declaring it cruel and immoral. So the children have learned to be wary of the Komodo dragons, who share their village, their playgrounds, their daily lives. But an ambush can happen anytime. Yet here, it's all put down to destiny. Villagers built a wall to protect the schoolyard. But the school is at the far end of the village, near the mountain, where the dragons lurk. Here, spiritual values, beliefs, and mythology do more to safeguard this endangered species than the concepts of protection and nature conservation.
Did you have any incident yourself? Were you bitten by a dragon before?
For this research, we catch almost 1,000 individual dragon, and one dragon can there several times, so it's almost more than 2,000 captures, and there's no accident. That is something that we're always proud of.
Yes, of course.
I think as long as we respect wild animal as wild animal, it won't become a big problem. So we can learn how to catch the dragon, safe for the dragon, and then also safe for researcher also.
But in reality, there's no safety for this endangered species.
I would say their biggest threat would be any kind of loss of interest. You know, this park is good and it's stable right now, but I would say if people tend to stop being interested for whatever reason, I worry that they may not protect them as well as they should. They may not be as vigilant in protecting them, and that could be a problem.
Like so many species that are threatened or endangered, it's habitat destruction. With the introduction of invasive species comes also disease. And you're talking about a population of animals here that's probably less than 5,000 individuals. That's not too many animals. So if a disease, was introduced to the islands, they could quickly be wiped out.
Despite the many threats to its precarious existence, No one wants to see this extraordinary carnivore disappear. The Komodo dragon represents much more than a formidable predator within an ecosystem. Here, it's considered a full member of the family of living beings. Only time will tell if these traditions can spare the largest dragon on the planet from extinction. Indonesia has more species of plants and animals than almost any other area on the planet, second only to Brazil. But this astonishing biodiversity is under threat. Every year, 2 million hectares of forest are cut down. Major corporations are turning these precious tropical forests into lucrative single-crop farms. It is the equivalent of 6 football fields disappearing every minute. The deforestation has many victims. Between 80 and 90% of forest species will die as a result of clear cutting. The original forest, bursting with life, is slashed, burned, obliterated, and replaced with orderly rows of palm trees to produce the most widely used vegetable oil in the world, palm oil. Our first stop is the island of Borneo, or Kalimantan. At 736,000 square kilometers, is the 4th largest island on Earth. At the heart of these lush tropical forests lives a small, remarkably agile tree primate, the gibbon. Its characteristic song has become the forest anthem, a long lament with which it defines its territory. Of the 17 species of gibbons identified in the world, 7 live in the forests of Indonesia. All are threatened by the rapid disappearance of their habitat. The forests of Indonesia are home to a large variety of iconic species, like elephants and orangutans. But they struggle to survive in isolated patches of forest. In the last 50 years, Indonesia has lost over half of its forests. Without immediate action to stop the destruction, an estimated 98% of Indonesia's tropical forests could disappear in the near future. We might think Indonesians are seeing some benefit, some improvement to the local economy, in exchange for letting their forests, that have always been at the center of traditional culture, go up in smoke. Not so. Oil palm production requires little manpower, and most of the workers on these industrial farm operations earn less than the local minimum wage. But the most astonishing thing, when you walk through these giant plantations, is the silence.
At the foot of the trees are bunches like this that are filled with what you could call the gold of these new Indonesian forests. This fruit is the basis of palm oil. It's very sad to see how life has disappeared from formerly thriving habitats.
Fortunately, some people are fighting for change, like Aurélien Brulé, who left his native France at 18 to settle in Indonesia. Aurélien was only 12 years old when he first encountered gibbons. Through the bars at a zoo, he spent many hours observing them. At 16, he wrote his first book on gibbons to the astonishment of specialists. Here, everyone calls him Cyanide, which means gibbon in Thai.
As a child, I wanted to leave France. I wasn't rejecting my country, I just knew it was going to happen. And in May 1998, I ended up in Jakarta and had a rude awakening. Because I'd always dreamt of living with the gibbons, in a little cabin in the woods surrounded by animals, and yet I quickly saw that if I was going to help them, that wasn't going to happen. I witnessed deforestation on a scale I could never have imagined. The entire forest is being attacked. 90% of the forest had been handed over to the logging companies. So the primeval jungle, the virgin forest, forget it. That only exists on the highest peaks of the central mountains of Borneo. So I had to deal with reality. I'd also forgotten that Indonesia has a large human population with complex cultural and societal values. Many people keep gibbons as pets.
Gibbons are often killed during deforestation. The baby, clinging to its slaughtered mother's belly, will be captured and sold. Trafficking in wild animals is illegal in Indonesia, but is still widespread.
I understood that saving gibbons was going to be a lot more complicated than my childhood dream, which was to throw open cages and set the animals free. I spent a year negotiating with the forestry department for permission to create the first gibbon conservation program. I had no money. I was 18, a complete unknown. That's when I woke up and saw that to save the gibbons, I was going to have to do it with and for the local people. Welcome to Kallaweit.
Thanks.
In 1998, the Kallaweit Association was formed. Today, it's the largest gibbon protection project in the world.
We're approaching the first two buildings of Kallaweit. The animals are around back. The 147 gibbons, the bears and crocodiles are behind the buildings, so that anyone coming up from the river won't be able to get at them directly.
So you're not open to the public?
Absolutely not. The only human contact the animals have is with team members.
So the idea is to recreate natural living conditions for the animals.
That's right. To let them socialize, to let them become gibbons again. They've lived with humans for many years. We pair them off and isolate them together in the forest so they can learn to have a normal social life and basically learn to become gibbons again. Throughout the Indonesian archipelago, we estimate there are 6,000 gibbons in captivity. Where do they come from? From the forest. The mother is killed and the baby clinging to her belly is captured. And they become living playthings. They're toys. People play with them for a while, then stick them in a cage where they die. It's sad, but this is increasingly common. More and more animals are being held in captivity because so many are caught during habitat destruction. So the logger moonlights as a poacher. They cut down the forest, leaving a little stand of trees where the gibbons are easy to catch. Then they sell them. That's why the conditions at Kallaweit, even though unfortunately the animals have to be caged, are a world apart from the conditions they were in when they were rescued. This is a socialization cage. We keep the younger ones together in groups like this. Then once they're fully mature, we separate them into mating pairs. Watch it, she's trying to.
And the main reason there's not much chance they can be released back into the wild is because there is so little forest left.
Yes, where any forest remains, there are already too many gibbons. Any that survived the clear cutting have taken refuge in isolated patches of forest, and since they're very territorial, they're already killing each other. So I can't release these animals. That's what's so frustrating. I came to Borneo 15 years ago to set the animals free, and I'm now keeping several gibbon families caged here at Kallaweit because there is nowhere to release them.
So more deforestation will only increase the problem.
Yes, and that's why Kallaweit has to get involved in habitat protection. Not so I can release my gibbons, but so that the gibbons in the forest can stay there. This is Leo. He escaped from one of the cages and attacked another gibbon. It just goes to show that gibbons are extremely aggressive among themselves. His wrist was so badly injured we had to amputate. We have to be on the lookout for it with the gibbons. I can't put more than 2 adults in an enclosure, and that makes it tricky. With orangutans, you can put 15 or 20 individuals on an island. With gibbons, or a gibbon pair, I can give them 15 hectares, and if I add any more, they'll start to fight.
So with this amputation, his chances of ever being released are...
He stands almost no chance of ever being released, but that doesn't mean we won't try to find him a mate, another gibbon who can never return to the wild, so that he can have a social life in a large enclosure at Kallaweit. We have a sanctuary as well. 25% of the animals here can never be released because of illness or injury. So it's important for us to give them a decent life, even in captivity.
You're taking a blood sample to see if the gibbon has contracted any human diseases?
Yes. We'll find out if the gibbon has hepatitis, for example, or any other strictly human disease. Gibbons often get infected when they're kept as pets. And if they test positive for any of these diseases, they'll never be released.
The team at Kallaweit is made up of veterinarians and local workers inspired by Shani's passion. Around 50 people are employed at the 2 conservation centers, caring for these animals displaced by deforestation.
Shani is really committed to saving the world, the animals in the world. I've seen him fight for the last 11 years, and he's completely dedicated.
Yes, I am proud to be the part of Kallaweit. The good thing about Shani is he's very inspiring and he's very dedicated in what he's doing. You know, what with Kallaweit being growth this huge.
Feeding time comes twice a day, and everyone pitches in. Here at the only conservation center in Borneo, over 5 tons of food, mostly fruit, is served up to the 100 or so captive residents.
So this is a different setup. Are they in quarantine?
Not anymore. We've set them up as a pair while they wait for a larger enclosure. It's a richer environment, and they make a good couple. You can see the female is a bit shyer than the male. And the male is eyeballing us with that typical chewing motion that means, watch it, if you come in here, I'll get you.
He dreamt of living in the heart of the jungle with his gibbon friends. He pictured them free, without bars. That's what he came here for. But in Borneo, Shani soon learned that his childhood dreams were unattainable, that the vast old-growth Indonesian forest he'd imagined were a thing of the past, wiped out by the insatiable maw of big business in cahoots with corrupt officials. These large enclosures stand in for the forest, and the man who dreamt of freedom can't simply open the cage. Today, for Shani and his dedicated team, the only option is saving life where it still exists.
We approach with 2 blowpipes. Only Nanto has a dart, but we confuse her, so she won't know where the dart is coming from. That way she'll be in a good position because we need to hit her in the thigh. It's tricky.
And this is the latest arrival?
Yes, so we need to examine her. Perfect. Perfect. Nanto is a Dayak, and the blowpipe is their traditional weapon. She got the full dose, so she should be asleep in 10 minutes. Here, Jean, help me out. Take her and put her on the table while I take my shoes off. Take one arm, and then the other. There. Lin will come with you. She's a white-bearded gibbon.
A white-bearded gibbon. They have quite a set of teeth.
Ah, yes. And as you can see, they cut off her fangs. It's common when they start to get aggressive. They were cut right through. She should have fangs 2 to 2.5 centimeters long. Captured gibbons that are sold as pets get aggressive as they grow older, so people cut off their fangs in an attempt to control them. It's done with a hacksaw without anesthetic, so you can imagine what that's like.
But the aggression arises naturally as the animal starts to mature. It's a natural instinct.
Yes, at sexual maturity. In the wild, gibbons are rejected by their parents. When they're raised by human parents who don't reject them at maturity, the child has to initiate the separation. The gibbons declare their independence by getting aggressive. The life expectancy of a gibbon in captivity is 7 years, max. In the wild, it's 30 years. I'm lucky. I've known what I wanted to do since I was a child. When I was 12, I met one particular monkey in the zoo near my house in the south of France. It was a gibbon. I had a lot of questions because the animals were kept in solitary cages. It seemed wrong to me, and I wondered why. I realized that to be able to help them, I had to understand them. I went to see the zoo director and ended up spending every Wednesday at the zoo. I began to hate seeing the animals in cages. I wanted to travel to see them in the wild, to see real gibbons. I wanted to help them, but I had no tools. I didn't know what I could do. I often say I had to learn to speak Gibbon. And that takes time. You need to take the time to observe. And today, I often observe things that I remember from my days as a kid in front of the gibbon cage at the zoo. So that has proven really useful, because gibbons are unique among animals in that they're monogamous and that they choose each other according to their personalities. So figuring out the gibbon's secret is above all getting to know the personality of each individual. I'm not giving these animals a second chance. I'm giving them a decent life, which they deserve. They didn't choose captivity. They didn't choose to be caught by poachers. It's our duty as human beings. I'm contributing by having these animals serve as wildlife ambassadors, to give us the means and the tools to protect those who are still in the trees. It's a global problem and very complex. The situation in Indonesia is dire. The worst deforestation on the planet is taking place in Indonesia. It's proceeding at an alarming rate, and it makes me so angry. I've been here for 15 years. I remember places that were densely forested. The first Kallaweit camp was 3 hours by boat from the nearest village. Today, the plantation is only half an hour away. Once the palm oil plantations are there, it's over. No forest will ever grow there because the soil has been stripped away. In those areas, the forest with all its inhabitants and all its biodiversity is lost forever.
Here on the foot, you can see the soil is very moist.
Yes. The first thing they do before cutting down the trees is dig canals to drain the forest. They get rid of all the water before starting to cut. So there's a great risk of fire in the dry seasons. The original forest would be flooded at least 4 times a year.
We're right beside the road here.
Yes. Usually the companies stay away from the roads, but in this case, they're working with locals, landowners and villagers, to set up plantations along the road. Then the property owners will sell the bunches of oil palm fruit to the companies.
Right, so it's not just the great forest that you can see from the road, but there's also cooperation with local farmers.
People are pressured to grow oil palms because they know that the nearby companies will buy the bunches from their plantations. So a company that owns 15,000 hectares will be able to harvest fruit from almost double that amount of land.
That's sad.
Very sad. There's nothing left. No gibbons, no life.
Under international pressure, the Indonesian government has created national parks and reserves, but it hasn't made much difference on the ground. The bureaucracy is such that some oil palm plantations operate with impunity inside national parks. The spread of these large corporations leaves very little land for the locals. So education has become a real force for changing hearts and minds.
To do that, to have a few victories, to save the forest, to save the animals, you can't accomplish anything alone. You need support. Lots of support. And in order to rally people to the cause, the message has to be positive. We need to be able to report victories. Ecology is our future. It's not a quote-unquote pain in the neck, which is how it comes across the media. People go home, turn on the TV, and get a lecture. I want to do just the opposite. That's what I do on Radio Kallaweit. Our message is that ecology is positive, it benefits us all, and it can be fun. Saving an animal is fun. You go to bed at night, damn, today I made a difference.
To communicate with the people around, Kallaweit has its own radio station.
Oke, ketemu lagi dengan Shani di 99,1 FM. Seperti biasa kita akan bahas masalah lingkungan. Jangan lupa buat kamu yang pelihara satwa liar seperti wawa, orangutan, beruang, ular mungkin, jangan sampai menyiksa mereka di kandang. Biarlah mereka kembali ke alam. Untuk itu hubungi Yayasan Kallaweit di 0813 4921 7991 atau langsung datang di kantor Kallaweit di Jalan Pinus nomor 28. Sekarang kita simak lagu favorit kamu dan kita kembali setelah kurang lebih 45 menit. Jangan kemana-mana, tetap di 99,1.
On air for 10 years, Kallaweit is the #1 radio station and actively participates in Indonesian life. The voice of Kallaweit is now heard everywhere and broadcasts its conservation message.
99,1 ataupun lewat email buat kamu yang mungkin mau bagikan informasi mengenai satwa.
There's a tremendous lack of information. You mustn't think all Indonesians are bad because they keep gibbons. They're simply uninformed. That's where Radio Kallaweit makes a difference. When we explain, you know your pet gibbon who died after 7 years? It didn't die of old age, but at sexual maturity. That knowledge alone will make some people think and bring us their animals.
99,1 FM Kallaweit Radio, the best music for life. Dan kita potong
The solution is with young people. They're the future, and they'll be making the decisions in a few years. They have the energy to promote Kallaweit and go out and save animals.
Ini tetap tas ya, nggak ganti-ganti.
So the primary objective at Radio Kallaweit is to be heard. Then we'll start to promote awareness among young people whose main interest is not in saving gibbons. And it's working because over 60% of the animals we get at Kallaweit Borneo are from listeners. Listeners are doing our work for us. It's the schoolgirl who says to her friend, "I'm worried you have a gibbon at home. You should listen to Radio Kallaweit and call them."
Kallaweit Radio, 99.1 FM.
That's how we get animals. We're a very small center, yet we get a lot of information out, and we save a lot of animals. Because of all these listeners who quote-unquote work for us, who send us texts, emails, or call the hotline for us to come and help an animal who's in bad shape. Or who get us to intervene between wild animals and villagers. We recently took in a bear who was on a balcony. Some oil palm workers had captured a bear and were keeping it on a balcony. Some listeners let us know. Because the bear often fell off the balcony. Having all these listeners gives us real power because, again, we're a small team with very limited means, but we have the support of 10 to 15,000 listeners 24/7 who text us information.
Whether it's a bear, a critically endangered crocodile, or a snake, whenever conflict arises between animals and humans, Kallaweit intervenes to try to find a solution that works for everyone.
This is what my life's about, doing positive things around me. I can't do otherwise. I can't explain why. At any rate, I know one thing. When I come home with Prada, with my children, I go to bed at night proud of what I'm doing. I can't explain why, but this is what I'm meant to do. I came to Indonesia to save gibbons, and I stayed because I fell in love with Indonesia. Because all my little victories, no matter how small, have been won with the support either of the locals or of my team, and obviously all the people around me are Indonesians. So this has truly become my country. I now have Indonesian citizenship, and I'm proud because it gives me a certain legitimacy to say, look, we have to protect the forest, we must. I'm fighting for my country, and that's an additional incentive to be even more effective.
One of your essential tools is your paraglider.
Yes, it's extremely effective because it takes so little effort. In a single half-hour flight, I can evaluate the situation in a reserve of over 1,000 hectares. It would take days on foot to ensure that there was nothing to worry about. I can also keep an eye on areas that are being cleared. This shows a path that was made in the interior. It's the first step before clear cutting. It's an access to the forest. And there they've started clearing and you can see what's going on. So that's clear cutting. And they've also set fibers to be able to cut faster. So that forest is on fire.
But there must be a risk of the fires spreading.
A great risk, but that's actually what they want. To set a fire and burn as much as possible, so it's easier to burn the forest into a plantation. These fires don't get out of control, they are deliberately set to spread as far as possible. That's why there are dozens of fires lit here and there, so as much as possible will burn. The longer the dry season, the happier the oil palm industry is, because they can, unfortunately, convert the forest more quickly.
Isn't it against the law?
Absolutely. But this goes on every year in Borneo and Sumatra. The haze will even go beyond the country's border. That's how huge the fires are.
In addition to public health issues caused by the ever-present haze in the cities, the forest fires send all the carbon stored in the trees throughout their lifetimes up into the atmosphere. Deforestation is responsible for 20% of annual worldwide greenhouse gas production.
When I created this reserve in Borneo, I did it with the authorities, with the locals. It was an ideal conservation organization. Then came elections. Attitudes and interests changed, and they're now cutting down the forest, so we can say goodbye to the animals we released into the wild. What will happen to those animals? I've devoted 11 years of my life to a reserve in Borneo. 11 years of work, money, and patrols. Today, as we speak, this forest is being clear-cut. And the orangutans and gibbons who call it home? Sorry. That was the end for me. Now I don't take risks. I buy the land. If I'm permitted to, under Indonesian law, now that I'm a citizen, I will buy up as much as possible. Even if in terms of conservation I'm not sure it's the best option. But if we want to be as certain as possible that we can save the forest, we have to buy patches of forest. Create private conservation zones.
Buying the forest to preserve it. With few means, Shani opened a second conservation center in the neighboring island of Sumatra. That's where he's buying up sections of forest and protecting it from attack from big corporations.
Avec 1,000 euros,
with 1,000 euros, we can save 1 hectare. A family of gibbons needs 15 hectares. 15,000 euros will save a gibbon family forever. That is very concrete. And if we own the forest, we can put protection measures in place without having to seek authorization from any elected official, who may change every 5 years, or lobby authorities for which there is never a guarantee. This is completely different. Someone cuts down a tree on my reserve, it's as if someone came into my house to rob me. I call the local police who do their job. Welcome to Kallaweit, Sumatra.
At the high point of his reserve, we witnessed the morning spectacle of a family of wild gibbons. Free on land rich in a variety of species, in the heart of a section of forest protected by Kallaweit.
It's wonderful because looking down, you can see wild animals, which is almost impossible when you walk through the forest.
Yes, it's one of the few places where you can observe wild gibbons at eye level. This is a family of 5. And it's great because the male has light-colored fur and the female is black, so you can see patches of color moving through the forest.
That young one seems pretty lively.
Yes, that's typical of gibbons. He's almost 2, still close to his mother, but he moves around on his own, jumping around to the annoyance of his parents.
There's a specific dynamic in terms of their songs. There are 2 almost identical songs in the same family.
Yes, gibbons use song to protect their territory, but not any song. It's a duet between the male and the female. The female will sing a crescendo that lasts 18 seconds. And if there's a young female, she will try to imitate her mother. Over time, her song will become identical to her mother's. And when her song is perfect, we know she's about to mature. It's the same for a young male. He'll spend time with his father and learn to be a male by imitating dad. So from a distance, even if you can't see them, you can tell how many are in the family, the sex of each individual, and the extent of their territory because they sing all around the borders.
What's amazing is to see that the work you do with the cages, with conservation, now allows you to buy sections of forest to protect it.
Yes. Thanks to the animals you hear in the background singing in their cages, I can protect the wild ones. This is why I came to Indonesia, to see wild gibbons and protect them. And we're doing just that here at Kallaweit Reserve, the forest we bought. I can touch that goal with my fingertips. Saving gibbons means saving trees, which saves all the animals. So that's a priority, especially in Indonesia, where deforestation is moving so quickly. We have no time to lose, and the best way to proceed is to buy up the forest.
Shani installs motion-activated cameras to do an inventory of the animals who come to his private preserve.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A pig-tailed macaque.
They stay on the ground.
They do. They eat fallen fruit. The camera trap allows us to identify species in the interior, and for large animals like the tapir, to recognize individual animals, so we'll know how many there are.
So the cameras are revealing the wealth of the forest.
We know how rich the forest is, and the camera lets us show it to others. We've had bears caught on camera. We have videos, photos of the golden cat, an elusive panther. These are little victories that allow us to shout a little louder, "Hey, help us because the forest is rich. We have the evidence. Here, look." In Indonesia, the first big victory, and we have the necessary tools to win it, is to ensure that zones protected under Indonesian law, all the existing national parks, all the existing reserves, are well and truly protected on the ground. We have the tools we need, the laws on our side. National parks and reserves have already been created. But it's clear to see that in Indonesia, the way the law is enforced is not what people are used to in developed countries.
We try to meet the minister responsible for forests, to ask for explanation, to try to understand why conservation measures passed by this government weren't enforced on the ground.
We're from Canada. We're filming a TV show about the forests of Indonesia.
Yes.
Is it possible to, after your talk, to just ask you a few questions? But after your talk? Huh? Just 5 minutes after your talk?
That day, the minister announced another bill in response to international pressure. A plan to reforest areas destroyed by monoculture.
Ada 56 ya, 56 lembaga konservasi kita di seluruh tanah air.
The Indonesian president launches a campaign to replant 1 million trees. It's a joke. Cancel one oil palm company and you'll save way more than 1 million trees. And you won't have to spend a fortune getting trees, planting them, and so forth. It's just a big joke, a farce. This is also a very corrupt country. Indonesia is the 5th most corrupt country in the world, so you have to deal with that. I can't remake Indonesia. My goal is to save gibbons, save the forest, so I do anything I can to achieve that.
Kallaweit is a foundation that relies on public donations to survive. Will Shani's howl of distress be heard in our homes? We, major consumers of palm oil, can make a difference. This oil, used in food processing, cosmetics, and biofuels, can and should be subject to far more effective conservation measures. Respect of habitats and biodiversity should be required of palm oil-producing countries before they are granted the right to exploit their forests.
The fight against palm oil is crucial. Not just for the forest of Indonesia, which unfortunately is already severely affected by palm oil. Anything we can save in Indonesia is only a first step. But if we don't organize a defense, an offense against palm oil, then the industry will start the same process of destruction in Central Africa, in Gibbon, especially, which is renowned for its lush forest. The oil palm corporations are already there, and in Latin America. That's why it's vital to have victories here, so that the pattern doesn't repeat so severely in other countries where palm oil exploitation is in its infancy. Just look at what's happened in Malaysia, which was one of the first countries targeted by palm oil and where little forest is left. The main thing is not to be pessimistic and not keep looking back saying, oh, look at what we've lost, what we're going to lose, it's a disaster. Yes, it is. So you have to roll up your sleeves, and that's what I'm doing. Oh, he's scared. That's Tante.
As a child, Aurélien Brulé had a crazy dream of going to live with gibbons, free, in the heart of the old-growth forests of Indonesia. His journey led him to confront a sobering reality, where nature is under attack from all sides in the name of short-term profit, no matter what the long-term consequences may be. Far too often, avarice kills life.
I can't imagine anyone thinking Kallaweit is a solution. It's often presented as such. Yes, we're doing amazing work, but we won't save the gibbon. Not the gibbon. We're saving some gibbons. And there's a huge difference. We're not saving the forest. We're saving bits of forest, fragments, pockets. But if we don't do it, we'll lose everything, so we have to do it. Maybe there'll be a study in 30 years in Borneo and we'll have saved 2% of the forest. Yeah, but it's not all gone. We have to focus on that, because if we don't act now, if nothing is done, we'll lose everything.
This man of nature has led the fight of his life, a life dedicated to saving gibbons and the many species that live within the last great forests on the planet. His new dream now allows him to save much more than gibbons. It's allowing other species to survive as well. And in an interconnected world where the fate of one species depends on the fate of others, Shani, in his own way, is also fighting for our survival. land in the comfort of our sailing vessel, the Sedna IV, and penetrate far inland on the island of Sumatra, Indonesia. Sumatra is home to an extremely rich and diverse wildlife, with over 200 species of mammals and almost 600 species of birds. Its tropical forests and peatlands are a true global heritage. But the fast economic development based on the exploitation of natural resources today is a disaster for the biodiversity of the island. Located in Southeast Asia, Sumatra is the 6th largest island in the world. The majority of its lush primary forests have been razed in recent decades, giving way to monoculture trees used for paper and palm oil. Today, in what remains of these lush forests, we still find populations of elephants, tigers, rhinos, and great apes. But all these iconic species are now on the sad list of endangered species. The remaining orangutans struggle to survive the impact of deforestation. The loss of these habitats threatens the wildlife populations, and if nothing is done quickly to stop this massacre, 98% of forests could disappear within 20 years. For economic reasons, the majority of Indonesian land was given in grants to companies that decimate these precious forests to make way for the highly profitable palm cultivation. Palm oil, used in food, cosmetics, and biofuels, the vegetable oil most widely used in the world. The forests in the province of Aceh in the west of the island are one of the last refuges for populations of orangutans in Sumatra. Despite protective measures dating from the old regime, the new local government has granted new concessions to large corporations, razing and burning forests to convert them into monocultures. These practices are often illegal, but the government turns a blind eye. In this country, laws are often flouted, jeopardizing the survival of the last elephants, tigers, rhinos, and orangutans in Sumatra. Biologist Bryson Voirin, a specialist in arboreal mammals, joins our expedition.
Well, I spent a good part of my life in tropical rainforest canopies around the world, in both New World and Old World forests. Now, this forest is especially interesting to me because of the orangutan.
Our investigation begins at the SOCP Quarantine Center, the Orangutan Conservation Program in Sumatra. In addition to its many research programs, the SOCP collects the victims of deforestation and animals captured by poachers who resell them as pets. Its director, Dr. Ian Singleton, leads a team of nearly 70 employees. By combining science and education, SOCP hopes to improve the plight of the last orangutans in Sumatra.
The best estimates that we have today of the orangutan population in Sumatra is around the 6,000, 7,000 mark. Maybe slightly more, maybe slightly less. But the important thing is it's going down. Now, in the last sort of 10 years, it's been going down slowly. And what we're looking at now is a potential situation where it's going to start going down rapidly. You know, we're sitting right now at the cusp of potentially a devastating decline in the extent of forests in Aceh, and also the orangutans and tigers and elephants and rhinos as well.
The SOCP is on a mission to save the last populations of wild Sumatran orangutans, a species critically endangered. Here at the quarantine center, the majority of residents were confiscated from their owners, who kept them in captivity, often in inhumane conditions. Upon arrival, the orangutans are examined and treated. The ultimate goal of the SOCP is to release all its residents, but some orangutans will never have that chance.
Hey, there you go. Losa was shot 62 times with an air rifle. We've managed to take 14 pellets out of him, but he's still got 48 inside. And he's got the problem, his biggest problem, he's got 2 in this eye and 1 in this eye, so he's completely blind. You can see his eyes, look, there's just nothing there at all. And we'll never be able to fix that. So he's going to spend the rest of his life as a captive orangutan, which could be more than, could be 40, 50 years.
Why would somebody shoot an orangutan 62 times with an air rifle?
What you have in these farmland areas, you've got people wandering around there with BB guns, and they'll shoot anything that moves. They shoot squirrels and monkeys, anything that they think is going to eat their crops. And I think that's exactly what's happened with him. They've probably run out of pellets after 62 shots. You want to sleep, don't you? You just want to sleep. Huh? So, yeah, these cages behind us are what we call the long-term cages. So that's especially for animals that we know can't be released, at least for the foreseeable future. But most of them, the vast majority, after they've done their quarantine down near the clinic, and we've treated them for whatever ailments they might have, then they move up to these big socialization cages up here. And this is the first time they kind of really start to learn how to be a little orangutan once again. So this is, these are the socialization cages. So this is the first time they've met and been introduced to other orangutans, probably since their mother was killed and they were first captured. So this is where, once they're in here, they have to learn all these orangutan behavioral skills, how to defend their food resources and then you find out who the bullies are and who the subordinate ones are and everything else. The aim is to get these groups together where they all know each other and they all know how to interact with each other, and then we always try and get them into groups so that when they do eventually move to the reintroduction centre, they're not travelling on their own. They're travelling with orangutans that they already know, and they're arriving there with orangutans they know. And oftentimes, some of the orangutans that are out in the forest there, they also know because they were in here a few months ago or something like that.
So they all will be released eventually?
Yeah, everybody in here is a release candidate. We're just waiting. This Saturday, we plan to move 6 orangutans from here to Janto to start the release process there, and everybody else is just waiting for their turn. But it's quite a rewarding stage to get to, because these guys have many of them spent years on their own. Some of them have even spent like 10 years chained to a single tree around the neck with a metre of chain. And to finally get them into a place like this where they can really exercise, get to move around, learn all these new skills, it's a really rewarding part of the process.
Counting the wild orangutans is a complex task, and the SOCP biologists must travel long distances into the forest to find the nests made daily by orangutans. Often located at the top of trees, it is a daunting task for the patrol. But today, a new technique is being used to better catalog the Indonesian forests. The drones are equipped with high-definition cameras to photograph or film the canopy, where the orangutans spend most of their lives. This new technique allows the SOCP team to work with great efficiency, unparalleled by ground crews. Drones can also be credited with gathering compelling evidence in the case of illegal practices.
We started using drones as a tool here to try to count orangutan nests, to learn more about their distribution and abundance. In the past, we used to count orangutans by doing ground surveys. So we go into the forest and go in for a week, 2 weeks to go to remote areas and look how many orangutans there are and if there are orangutans. Now we can fly in with a drone for 10 kilometers, look around, are there nests, and come back in an hour.
So once you release this, it's going to basically be flying itself. It's on autopilot.
It's on autopilot, so we'll do the takeoff manually, and then we'll do a few rounds to see if everything is okay, and then we'll switch to auto, and then it will fly its mission and return, and then we'll manually land the plane again. Once we started that, we saw the footage and thought that this can be a much more applicable tool than only focusing on orangutans. It gives fantastic information on deforestation, on threats to the forest, on where forest is, what the agricultural threats are, and it gives us, in a way, very high resolution data that we can use to pinpoint where changes are occurring.
In their efforts to protect the last wild populations, environmental groups have quickly understood the importance of documenting the logging operations. Drones have now become an effective weapon in the fight to save these last protected areas.
The problem is not the oil palm tree. I mean, it's a wonderful, productive plant. The problem is the way the expansion of the industry is happening right now.
The drupe palm has a much higher yield than soybean or rapeseed. Palm oil is now the most used vegetable oil in the world, and the expansion plans of these monocultures today threatens almost all the forests of Sumatra.
The old school plantation industry thought long term. They established a plantation for 100 years. But the industry currently is being driven by people wanting basically double-digit returns in one planting cycle. And I really don't think they care what happens after that.
The trees are all cleared, everything is scorched, and 99.999% of everything that lived there dies. You can go into these areas and look for a grasshopper or a lizard, and you can't find one. They're not there. Nothing survives this conversion process. When they're chopping down these forests in the first instance, they don't sort of get every tree on day one, so that you end up with a few trees here and a few trees there. And sometimes you find there's an orangutan mother up there. So they will chop the tree down and then they will jump on this animal and beat it and club it with machetes and wood and sharpened bamboo sticks and everything, and it'll be killed that way.
Once again, the SOCP team must intervene. An ailing orangutan has been found in a plantation.
The wounds sometimes that we see are just horrific. We had one many years ago. She aborted a full-term fetus during the attack, and when we got to her, she was chained to a tree by the neck, and her entire body was swollen up like she'd just done 50 rounds with Mike Tyson. It was horrible. The level of violence you need to do that, just concerted violence, it just amazes me. I find it hard to get it in my head that people can be that vicious.
Animals rescued by the SOCP are fortunate, but they only represent a tiny fraction of the orangutan victims of deforestation and poachers. But for others, the majority, it will be death, out of sight, through carelessness and indifference.
Wow. Wow. So this is the one we got yesterday morning, yeah?
Yeah. We just got the information from the forestry department, and then he said with us as he found some big orangutan in the plantation, and the people say the orangutan is just staying in one place and then don't want to moving, and then when try to looking with binocular, he found a lot of wound there. So this is why the forestry department make a decision to take this orangutan going to here.
He's got a big scar
this
here.
Is a lot of wound on his body. He's on the head. This is very big wound there, and this is very deep. And then we found a big hole on the here, and then on the right hand, is it? He cannot using, and when we try to palpate, the scapula is calm down.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't know exactly is this a fracture or just dislocation. So we will make sure with the X-rays.
But it's surprisingly calm, yeah?
Yeah.
To see this poor creature come in and just look you in the eyes, and they have the most human-like expressions on their face, and it's just wondering, what the heck is going on and what are people doing to me?
The first step is to anesthetize the animal. He will then be taken to the examination room, where X-rays will assess the severity of his injuries. Rhea is an older male. He has not had much luck. His body is covered with bruises and injuries, likely inflicted by plantation workers. Again, the level of violence used reflects the inhumane treatment of these orangutans, who dare to stray into farmland or plantations. The main concern of the veterinarians are Rhea's internal injuries. A comprehensive examination will determine if surgery is necessary. Initial tests confirm that Rhea is in bad shape and that a weapon was used. The X-rays clearly show the presence of projectiles inside the body of the animal.
So, yeah, this is the head and the skull. You can see there's the 1, 2, 3 pellets up there. 3 bullets here. 1, 2, 3. So I think there's around 18. Yeah, but it's kind of weird because they usually focus on the head. They usually shoot him in the face. But these are obviously not too far away from his eyes. If they'd hit him in the eyes, they'd have been blinded.
The full examination confirms the severity of his condition and the presence of significant internal injuries. The veterinary team will have to perform several operations and then wait and see how the animal reacts.
We observed the surgical procedures that lasted several hours. It was very extensive, and I think they're going to have to do more surgery on that animal just to keep it surviving for the time being.
So after 6 hours under surgery, what's the verdict?
It looks from the X-rays, there's no sign of any sort of bone damage, and so his problem is all these cuts and holes, and especially his right hand is completely shot to pieces. The tendons inside the hand is all rotten. You can actually put a finger almost all the way in, just about every direction, and the tendons seem to be already rotten, so you can pull the ends and make the fingers move. So there's a good chance we may have to amputate that, but we'll review that over the next few days.
So if you have to cut his right arm, is there less chance to be released, or?
It depends on him, but he's lived in the forest, wild, and as long as he's sensible, missing a hand probably wouldn't be a major problem. We've already released one big male orangutan with an amputated arm here, and it doesn't bother him at all. We'll see. Yeah. It depends very much on him now, I think.
The plight of the orangutan is an eloquent demonstration of the government's inability to protect Sumatran forests and its inhabitants. However, some laws prohibit cutting down forests in conservation areas. But local governments routinely turn a blind eye to illegal acts.
In the late 90s, there was this thing called the LOSA ecosystem established by presidential decree and ratified by ministerial decree. And most of the wild orangutans are in the LOSA ecosystem, so the future of that species really much depends on that area. And then even more recently, I think in 2008, the LOSA ecosystem was designated a national strategic area for its environmental function, in which you're not allowed to destroy the environmental function of the area. Now this is being completely disregarded by a new spatial plan established and drafted by the latest government of Aceh, long after the civil war ended, that essentially opens up the whole of Aceh's forests, including the LOSA ecosystem, for new roads, new mines, new logging concessions, new palm oil plantations. And we are terrified about this because the effects on the orangutans is going to be massive.
The LOSA ecosystem is one of the last havens for orangutans. The SOCP and other NGOs have documented illegal deforestation activities in the area of Tripa, a nature reserve consisting mainly of peatlands. They were able to prove that a company producing palm oil had, on a regular basis, lit hundreds of fires that have killed countless orangutans. A court case was undertaken to condemn this illegal activity.
There is no doubt in my mind within the palm oil industry there are better players and worse players, and you have a whole spectrum. I'm sure there are companies that you could really say are environmentally responsible. They really are trying to do the better thing. And at the far end of the spectrum, the other end of the spectrum, of course, you've got people who really don't give a damn. What we're trying to do is shift the center of that spectrum up towards the better end, what we think is the better and more sustainable end of the spectrum. I don't think even expansion of the oil palm industry needs cause deforestation. There are huge amounts of degraded land in Indonesia that could be converted into oil palm plantations without any further deforestation.
You know, the Ministry of Forestry has two jobs on its plate. You know, one is to maximize state revenue from the forests, and the other one is to protect forests and biodiversity. So I think you tend to find that one tends to win out over the other one. And corruption is the other thing. I mean, even when you've got a clear violation of the law, evidence, witnesses, an infallible case, it's still a huge challenge to get something like that into the courts and then to achieve a successful prosecution, because corruption is just throughout the system.
I would say the vast majority of damage being done is not caused, as a lot of people tend to advocate, poverty. I believe it's caused by greed. It's people that already have something wanting more.
What's most surprising when walking in the plantations is the silence of the forest. A deathly silence, reflecting a world without life, artificial, and no future.
What's changed then in 100 years of having all these plantations around? Nothing. The money is in Jakarta. It's built shopping malls and a new airport for Medan, and it's spent in Singapore. And all the plantations in Aceh, you know, the owners of these, are actually living and spending all their money in Medan. It's not staying in the area.
The day has finally arrived for some residents of the quarantine center. Today they undertake the long journey to the reintroduction site at Janto, located in the province of Aceh. These orangutans have socialized sufficiently to allow them to interact with other orangutans. They are now ready to be set free in a protected area where the SOCP brings together survivors of deforestation collected from all over the island of Sumatra.
We're lucky when we're setting up new populations because these orangutans come from all over Sumatra, not just one particular place. So actually, genetically, they would be sustainable and viable with because they're from such a varied background. We don't really need 500 animals here to maintain genetic diversity.
Satu lari ke bawah ya. Pelan-pelan aja, nggak usah buru-buru.
Udah bangun.
The road to freedom is a long one for its orangutans. The journey will last 12 hours. In a truck on the road, in 4x4 vehicles on forest roads, or in specially adapted vehicles to navigate the wetlands. Orangutans are always accompanied by veterinarians, thus providing them some comfort during the trip. We also made the journey with them, often in dangerous conditions. The difficulties in accessing the reintroduction site provide some protection for this fragile territory, mainly made up of peatland.
Peatlands are deep peat, where all the leaves and trees and branches that have fallen into the water have never rotted, because there's no oxygen down there. So you end up with this massive accumulation of carbon under the ground, sometimes 6, 10, 20 meters deep, something like that. Now, if you actually look at Indonesia, I think Indonesia has something like 56% of all the world's tropical peatlands. So the amount of carbon considered to be in these peatlands by the experts was something like 4 to 16 times what's in the atmosphere today. So this is a major issue. If you want to reduce emissions of carbon into the atmosphere, if you can stop destruction of Indonesia's rainforest, and especially its peatlands, you take a huge leap in the direction of your goal. If we fail to protect these, it has major, major consequences for all of us, not just the people here, but everybody on the planet.
After hours of travel, the orangutans finally arrived at the reintroduction center at Janto. They will be examined again and enter the final phase of readaptation before being released in the forest.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. This is the bit where we actually get to take a breather, eh?
Yeah.
It's always stressful when you've got the orangutans on the road, because anything can happen, like bridges breaking down or getting stuck with a broken axle or something. But once you get them here, they're healthy, they're in the cages, you can relax a bit. Orangutans tend to just sort of grasp it. You know, okay, I'm in a box, let's see where I go.
Yeah.
I hope over the next couple of days we'll see a few orangutans around here in the trees, and that's when you get a real kick. So Muklis is feeding them now, but this is kind of fruit and veg that we normally get from the markets, just top up their diet. But once they get here in the Janto release site, we can start actually collecting fruits and other things from the forest, the stuff that they're going to encounter once they're out. So, you know, by doing that, they actually get to taste and experience all these things, and then they see what their reaction is before they stuff their faces. Yeah. But I did once follow some orangutans we released in another area, and they found these sort of palms that were half fermented, and they stuffed their faces on that, and probably getting more and more drunk, and then they spent the whole night throwing up out the side of a nest, you know. So they've got to learn these things, but at least by just giving them small amounts in the cages, they get to sample these things without eating enough to do themselves any harm. Yeah? And actually, while we've just been talking, orangutan's just climbed up on the cage here. Has just come up now. She's been out 2 years.
Wow, 2 years?
Yeah, she comes back every few months, and she was here a couple of days ago, but she looks really good. I'm really impressed. Yeah. The aim of the project here is not to just have a few orangutans wandering free and happy again after a traumatic life. It's to set up a wild, functioning, viable population of an endangered species. And any tourism or disturbance or human contact undermines that. We want these animals to be behaving and acting just like wild orangutans, which means up in the trees, feeding, interacting with each other, and no interference from humans down on the ground.
Several of the orangutans released into the wild are equipped with a small subcutaneous transmitter that allows them to be traced and their progress monitored.
Well, it's not really far, eh?
No, the signal's about 90, so it means it's somewhere within 100, 200 meters max. So, but it's difficult to find out exactly where they are because the terrain's quite undulating and the signal bounces around a lot. But we know it's somewhere in this kind of forest patch here.
Okay, let's try to find it.
Yeah, okay, let's see if we can get closer. There he is.
Mungkin dekat-dekat sini.
Sini. Ah, there he is. No, up there, look.
Oh,
see?
yeah.
Through that gap. You see him pretty clear.
Yeah.
The sort of
Yeah.
Yeah, just and then you can hear the fruit drop.
Yeah.
Usually when you find orangutans in the forest, if you're not using this stuff, it's you find them with your ears, not with your eyes. You just hear this as the fruit drops and hits the leaves and stuff like that.
And there's a nest right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah, I don't think she's used that one yesterday. It looks like about a week old. It's always nice to see them, though, yeah? Because you remember when you see them like this, and you remember when the first time you met, say, Choti, and it was in somebody's back garden, and skinny and terrified, and maybe with a chain around its neck, and then you see them out here like this in the tree. It makes you realise, it makes you feel that what you're doing is really worthwhile. You're really achieving something fantastic. And I always get a kick out of it.
But not all orangutans are so lucky. At the quarantine center, Rhea is not well. His health is deteriorating, and the medical team must act quickly.
Fotonya lagi ya? Ini udah. Tangan yang sini, bahu.
So great day for Ruben, eh?
Yeah, in a minute, look, this will it'll hang a few bits of fruit on the rope there, try and encourage him to go across, and then the last step is just to open the door.
Yeah.
And then it's up to the orangutan what he does next, yeah? This is what it's all about, yeah? I mean, ever since the orangutans first confiscated in the medical quarantine and patched up and everything else, it's all about this day where the door is finally opened and they have that chance of a second life in the wild, which could be another 40, 50 years or so.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
The door finally opens for Ruben, an orangutan confiscated from its owners and cared for by Ian's team. It's a great day, a day where liberty could finally triumph.
Obviously a little bit unsure about what he's doing, taking a look around. A lot of them do that. They you know, the surprise of having the door open is like, ooh, what's going on here? So they don't just immediately run into the trees, but they just consolidate themselves for a few minutes and see what's around, see what's where. and then they make a plan. Okay, look, he's off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not very interested in the fruit, more interested in the tree. So we're very much hands-off from the very start. When they come out of the cages, they're not looking for a human contact. They're looking at the trees and seeing other orangutans there, and they're going there, and they're staying there. There's no difference between these orangutans right now and those orangutans I followed for 2 years in the swamps. They're up there all the time, feeding very much on the stuff they should be feeding on, and at the end of the day they made these beautiful nests and went to sleep. Yenny's sent me a text. We lost the poor guy.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, didn't make it. But I'm kind of, disappointed because I was a bit optimistic. I thought when we had a good look at him the other day, it looks like he's still pretty strong. He's been enthusiastic about his food. But I think the injuries that he's got inside are much more than what we saw outside.
It's really sad because I thought it was a great, rescue story, but he was eating with good appetite and everything, but...
This is another orangutan dead at the hands of humans, farmers, villagers, just crazy people. When they get an opportunity, they just go nuts. Orangutans get killed almost on a daily basis just for nicking a couple of durian fruits or something like that. It's just bizarre. It's completely out of kilter.
Crazy.
Sad. But we move on, try and save the other ones.
The fate of the last Sumatran orangutan populations depends on the commitment, determination, and passion of people like Ian Singleton and his team. The protection of the last protected forests of Sumatra is of paramount importance to avoid further tragedies such as Rhea. In this unrelenting fight, the SOCP did lose another patient. But the struggle has won an important victory, thanks to the support of other local NGOs and the public, who responded to the appeal by environmental groups.
Over the years, I think many NGOs have realized the value of these social networking systems. Firstly, websites for getting information out there, but also things like Facebook and Twitter and all the others for getting information out quickly to a large audience. And as a result, we are now able, if we want to launch a quick appeal or request letters or get people to sign a petition like the one we did recently on Avaz, to get large numbers of people on board very, very quickly. And the Avaz one in particular, we managed to get something, I think, as much as 1.3 million signatories within just a few weeks. Every time you sign one of these petitions, an email goes to the President of Indonesia, it goes to the Governor of Aceh, the head of the forestry, and it goes to all these others. So they hate getting 1.3 million emails. But it also gets picked up by the press. So because of this huge petition, the Guardian, the Independent, the Wall Street Journal, the Sydney Morning Herald, they're all willing to write articles because they know that this is a hot topic. So never underestimate the value of clicking like and share and getting onto these petitions and signing them when a cause really is something close to your heart.
In a historic judgment, the producer of the palm oil, PT Kalista Alam, was fined $30 million for fires in Tripa, a valuable peatland area in the Loser ecosystem. This victory is perhaps a consolation prize, however, since a new development plan in the forests in the province of Aceh has been adopted by politicians. Envisioned are more companies, more plantations, and inevitably, more innocent victims. It took billions of years for the Earth to carve the oceans into the pattern we know today. Hundreds of millions of years of evolution and adaptation have resulted in the creation of countless species that interact to form the largest ecosystem on the planet. Deep in the ocean blue, every species has a role, its own specific function, in the delicate balance among all species. From time immemorial, mankind has fished for survival. The never-ending challenge is how to share the sea's resources with other species that depend on them. Increasingly sophisticated commercial fishing practices using advanced technologies have in the last 50 years dramatically improved marine harvesting. We keep going farther and deeper and catching more and more fish. But we seem to have reached the limit. The ocean's ability to meet human nutritional needs is being exhausted, a result of decades of overfishing and abuse. Scientists consider that if nothing is done rapidly to correct the situation, we will see the collapse of commercial fishing within the next few decades. Yet over 1 billion people depend directly on the sea for survival. The future of many societies may well hinge on whatever conservation measures we are prepared to introduce over the next years. As part of its mission, 1,000 days for the planet, the oceanographic schooners Setna 4 set sail for Indonesia, a country of more than 17,000 islands, where many villages depend on fishing for their food and livelihood. Chief of Mission, Jean Lemire.
We're heading to Bali, an exotic island surrounded by coral reefs, known for its remarkable marine biodiversity. Located in the heart of what we call the Coral Triangle, the islands of Indonesia harbor 76% of all species of coral. These reefs provide shelter and food to 37% of all the coral-dwelling fish on Earth.
This amazing variety of species has led to a thriving commerce in aquarium fish. It's a lucrative business valued at around $1 billion annually, all categories combined. Of the 40 countries that export tropical fish, Indonesia and the Philippines supply at least 85% of ocean fish to the world's aquariums. The market for tropical fish skyrocketed after the animated film Finding Nemo hit the screen in 2003. An estimated 30 million fish and marine creatures are harvested every year on the planet's coral reefs. There are no regulations about which species can be caught. The strong demand for aquarium fish has led to the widespread use of a destructive fishing technique, cyanide fishing. A solution of sodium cyanide stuns the fish, making them much easier to catch. This technique rapidly degrades the coral reefs. An estimated 1 square meter of coral is destroyed for every fish caught. Cyanide blocks photosynthesis in the algae that live symbiotically with the corals, depriving them of their main source of food. Cyanide, even in minute quantities, kills the polyps, leading to the death and the bleaching of the corals. The practice began in the Philippines in the 1960s and spread rapidly. It's hard to calculate exactly how much cyanide is being used. Scientists estimate that over 1 million kilograms of sodium cyanide is spread on coral reefs every year. Cyanide fishing is against the law in a number of countries, but enforcement is haphazard at best.
If you are fishermen, you cannot use all kind of techniques because there are regulations. But if you're out in the sea, and Indonesia is so vast, nobody watching you. So in practice, they do what they like with the techniques, yes.
The deadly mixture for corals is obtained by simply dissolving sodium cyanide crystals in seawater. A fisherman has agreed to talk to us anonymously.
What is the effect of cyanide?
Cyanide stuns the fish. It makes them a little bit dizzy, so they're easier to catch. When we release the cyanide, the coral reacts by spurting out a liquid. 2 days later, the coral has turned black all over, like it had been burned.
Why do you use this on coral reef?
Because with this method, all the fish crowd together, and all we have to do is gather them up. Back in 2000, I made $10 a day for 4 hours work. Today I make quite a bit more. I'd say I make around $30.
Is there any risk for your health?
Yes. If you breathe in the cyanide, it's very bad for your heart and lungs.
International pressure has forced local authorities to take some action. But these few police interventions are the exception and often end without official sanction. Illegal fishermen have to receive 3 official warnings before being arrested. Arrests are rare and do nothing to discourage the practice.
Did you get caught before?
I got caught once. I was convicted of illegal fishing. I went to jail for 6 months, and I had to pay a fine of $50.
Indonesian fishermen also use this technique to catch fish intended for human consumption. Increasingly popular in Asia, the fish will be transported live to restaurants around the world, displayed in tanks, and served at premium prices. Fish that survive will metabolize part of the poison, but an estimated 80% of fish caught this way die from cyanide poisoning.
The fish that stay alive, that are caught with cyanide, and they actually make it to the consumer markets, there's not so much known about the effect of eating that. But many fish that are caught with cyanide die, and those fish are still sold, and they end up at the local market. So you can imagine that the local communities who eat that fish, because it's dead and they don't waste it, they actually probably have a lot of risk of taking a lot of cyanide that's still in the fish. That's what it died from. And they build that up in their body, but it can't be good for people.
Another illegal fishing technique is devastating coral reefs. Blast fishing. This technique is fatal. It kills the fish and utterly destroys the structure of the reef.
People use bombs to throw at big schools of fish, and then they can just scoop up the fish out of the ocean. It's a very easy way to catch a lot of fish in not so much time. You just explode a small bottle. They usually use, soft drink bottles. And if it's very close to the coral reef, you have a crater of about 1 meter. It's devastating. This fish, when it gets to the market, is damaged. So this goes to the domestic market. This is eaten locally.
This explosive is made from fertilizer according to a recipe that has been handed down through generations.
Is there lots of people around here who use the blast fishing?
Not as many as before, but some of us still do.
Why do you use blast fishing?
It's easier to feed my family. This way I can harvest a lot of fish in a short amount of time.
But now you understand all the damages that it will make to the coral reef.
Yes, I know. It destroys everything. The reef and the fish. It's hard for the resource to recover.
There are laws on the books banning all forms of illegal fishing. But in a huge country like Indonesia, enforcement is often sorely lacking. Fortunately, some people have decided to break the cycle of destruction. In the small village of Les on Bali, Made Partiana catches aquarium fish. Like the other fishermen in the village, Made used cyanide fishing for many years.
Masyarakat di sini rata-rata pada saat itu.
When I was young, in the early 80s,
Sejak tahun 80-an yang saya tahu.
the coral was brightly colored and healthy.
Tahun 86 berkembang.
But in the early 90s,
Nelayan di sini
the reefs started to die.
200-an lebih untuk nelayan ikan hias. Dan daerah tangkap
They
mereka
turned
bukan hanya
black
di perairan
and
Bali,
gray.
tapi juga ke luar Bali. Dampak daripada potasium itu sendiri.
Money-wise, it was a true disaster.
80-an itu saya lihat, ya mungkin saya belum.
The fish had no more coral to shelter in and to feed off of.
Cenderung lebih baik. Dampak lainnya juga secara ekonomi juga.
We'd catch fish for 2 months
Keberadaan sumber dayanya,
and then have to wait another 10 months before the stock recovered enough for us to catch any more.
juga berkurang dan pendapatan nelayan juga
All the fishermen were worried.
turun gitu, tidak ketimbang tahun-tahun sebelumnya. Yang terjadi di sini ya masyarakat dalam kondisi kebingungan.
Then the government stepped in and placed a ban on cyanide fishing.
Sendiri juga ketika hanya memberikan pelarangan jangan menggunakan potasium.
None of us had any other way to make a living,
merusak, tapi
but we still had to look after
belum
our
ada alternatif
families.
yang bisa diberikan, hanya sekedar pelarangan saja seperti itu. Dan masyarakat semakin
Finally, in 2000, an NGO came along to study the situation and offered us a solution. They were very supportive. They taught us how to fish using nets.
Made uses a long net that he sets out above the reef. He selects and collects the most beautiful specimens of all the fish in the net. Made holds his breath to a depth of between 4 and 10 meters. It's exhausting work, but he prefers this selective, sustainable approach that does not damage the reefs.
What we are told that they already fish for ornamental fish since 80s. Now in that years, the early years, they're using the net, the mosquito nets. And then their exporter came to us, and they're the one who introduced cyanide. Cyanide was brought to Indonesia by the Philippine fishers, yeah, to collect the high-value fish. So from say mid 80s until late like 90s almost 2000s, cyanide is being used.
Halo.
Halo Made. Kenalin ini teman-temanku.
Oh iya.
Nice to meet you.
Look at the blue one.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is one dive?
Satu kali nyelam ya?
Yes,
Just
Wow.
one.
When did you start to work?
Dari jam
since
8
8.
sampai kira-kira
It's
jam
2 o'clock, so now I've been working for 6 hours.
What's the next step now?
Langkah selanjutnya apa, Made?
I will sort them out and put them in plastic bags with a little added oxygen. Then I take them to my buyer.
You want to go with him to the middleman, Jen?
Sure.
Boleh ikut ke pengepul?
Iya.
Okay, I'll get it all ready and we'll go.
Nanti kita bisa bersama-sama.
Oke. Pakai apa packingnya?
Oke, plastik.
Made has to carry his catch safely to the buyer, who will check the quality of his fish.
Ini udaranya dari ban ya.
Oxygen stored in the inner tube is transferred to plastic bags to keep the fish healthy during transport. Over time, this exceptional fisherman has been able to create a real demand for his high-quality fish caught in a net. Some village fishermen use boats and the most rudimentary of breathing aids. Their gear consists of a small compressor, a bit of tubing, and for a lucky few, a pressure regulator. Thus equipped, fishers can descend to depths of up to 40 meters. Diving is risky under any circumstances, even more so with inadequate equipment and little or no training.
The compressor helps me dive deeper. I get a much better harvest that way. I've been careless and made some serious mistakes. Once, before I knew any better, I swam all the way to the surface without stopping halfway up. I had to be rushed to Denpasar and put in an hyperbaric chamber. A few years ago, some friends and I got the idea of sinking some old tires down to the seafloor as a shelter for the fish. I've only got one site today, but if I set up 2 sites, I could earn $40. I catch different types of fish depending on demand.
The idea of making structures to replace the damaged coral is spreading. With the help of an NGO, the fishermen of Les have begun making concrete structures to replace the coral reefs destroyed by years of cyanide fishing. They have also started a program to reintroduce coral by transplant. Under this flourishing initiative, the coral ecosystem is gradually being reborn. The efforts of these reformed fishermen are being rewarded by a slow buildup of reef fish populations. Today, the whole community of the fishermen of Les has agreed to a complete ban on cyanide fishing in the region. The village is once again living from the fish harvest, but now it's all legal. Village fishermen bring their catch to Mr. Picassi, the local buyer. He also acts as the middleman who negotiates with international exporters. Every fish is inspected and evaluated to guarantee quality. One damaged fin automatically eliminates a fish from the process.
Which one is the most precious one?
The blue angelfish.
Mahal itu ya?
It's around $1.50.
That's the price that the fishermen will have.
Dedicated, yeah.
Yes. So what's the price when it goes to the guy in Denpasar?
This is quite a small one. I'll pay the local fisherman $1.50 for it. At Denpasar, I'll be able to sell it for $2.
And then from Denpasar, it will take the plane.
We'll take the plane to
Hong Kong,
and then after Hong Kong, they spread it to the world. US, Canada, Europe, and then we have no idea what price could be.
But the clownfish is the most popular?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sangat.
Yang paling banyak dicari
Yeah.
clownfish ya? Yeah, most popular. I think it's about the movie as well.
Because of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you serious? Yeah.
So semakin
What
mudah
accounts for the price difference among various species?
Dan juga ini.
The price depends on how rare the type of fish is,
Kalau misalnya keberadaannya banyak.
and also how difficult they are to catch.
Mudah didapat.
Okay. Bisa melihat
Do
perubahan
you see a difference since 2001 in the types of fish caught and their numbers?
Perbedaannya apa, Pak?
Yes, a huge difference. Now that we've stopped using cyanide, the dead reefs are coming back to life, slowly. The varieties of fish we hadn't seen for a long time are gradually returning. Before, with cyanide fishing, about 5% of the fish would die. Now the mortality rate is down to 2%.
In one typical day, how much money you will earn?
75.000 dapat.
Typically, I earn maybe $7 on a bad day and up to $15 on a good day. It all depends on weather conditions, ocean conditions, especially the height of the waves.
Made earns about 10 cents for a clownfish. The most expensive fish can go for up to $2, but they are few and far between. Fishermen naturally search out the most lucrative species, and yet they are often the most endangered. There are no regulations here, nor any scientific monitoring to assess and track the state of marine populations. Mr. Pakassi's fish will travel to Denpasar, the capital.
How many fish in this load today?
Berapa nih Pak kira-kira ikannya berapa?
On this trip, I have around 2,000. Usually I have 3 times more than that. So in 3 or 4 days, if ocean conditions allow, I'll travel to Denpasar with 6,000 fish.
And how many fish will survive the transport?
The mortality rate is less than 1%. As a rule, if fish die during transport, it is due to human error. And of course, sometimes the bags can burst during the trip.
Middlemen who buy the fish are in a position to turn things around dramatically. By refusing to buy fish caught using cyanide, they will encourage the kind of sustainable fishing methods needed to ensure the future of coral reef ecosystems. But economic interests often outweigh good intentions. In the lucrative market of exporting fish for human consumption, there is still a lot of work to be done.
If you catch fish with cyanide, they're not in a very good condition. You can imagine that if you have to ship them out for so many hours before they reach the market, many of them die. So we've always thought it doesn't even make business sense to use cyanides and lose so many of your catch because it's very expensive to transport them. If you look at the percentage of fish that is exported now from Indonesia, where you could say it's probably coming from cyanides, it's still around 40%. That is much less than years ago, when I was just saying 5 years ago, I think the majority, maybe 80 to 90% came from cyanide fisheries, but it's still a lot.
It's impossible to tell with the naked eye whether these live fish were caught using cyanide, but they are still widely available on the market. Cyanide is a powerful toxic compound that binds to hemoglobin, blocking the transport of oxygen. Though it may be difficult to assess its long-term impact on human health, the risk is real. Restaurants are not regulated, and patrons seldom have any idea of how the fish on their plate was caught. In a protected bunker, a food fish exporter who wishes to remain anonymous because of a series of threats has changed his ways.
This exporter that we are today is actually a very special person because a couple of years ago he contacted WWF and he said, I'm in this business and I'm seeing that there are many, many practices that are not sustainable and I'm really worried about my business. What can I do? I don't know what to do.
The exporters set up a network of fishermen who are restricted to net fishing. Their catch is destined for big city restaurants. Using cyanide is strictly forbidden on pain of expulsion, and participating fishermen get better prices for their fish. The fish, especially groupers, are handled with great care by a team trained to the highest standards.
This exporter doesn't buy cyanide fish. He doesn't buy fish that is too small. He doesn't buy fish that, has the eggs, is ready to spawn. So he does everything that he can do. I think he is the best example of, a future where you can have a sustainable business and make money and support all these fishermen in these remote places. However, he's the only one, and he's just by himself. And there's not enough support by the government to work on the other exporters that actually still have very, very unsustainable practices.
The exporter has also designed oxygenated transport boxes so the fish can breathe better during long international trips. He has managed to convince some airline companies to accept these transport boxes equipped with an oxygen cylinder for shipping on cargo planes. This exporter's pioneering initiative doesn't please everyone. He has to operate under high security. Other exporters who use cyanide do not appreciate competition that breaks the mold. But the demand for clean fish is gaining ground, and some restaurants are ready to pay a premium for a product that meets the highest standards. After 8 hours in transit, Made's fish finally reached the second middleman, the exporter with an order book brimming with international orders.
When the fish come in, usually they come in the morning. We open the bags, let them sit in the screening area for 4 or 5 hours. After that, we move it to a quarantine system. We keep them over there for a few days to see if there's any problem, disease or broken fins, those kind of things. So after a few days of quarantines, we move them to our regular systems. So this is the place where we do the packing. Okay, now they are doing oxygen the fish. After that, they will move over there for putting in the box.
I suppose that because it's cargo by plane, it's very expensive. So the quantity of water is important.
Oh, exactly. Because depends on where they are going and how long the flight going to take. We pack differently. The farther they go, we put more water, more oxygens. Okay, if this is going to Asia, it's probably just a few hours flight, then it's less water. Smaller bags, of course, smaller bags, less water, less oxygens. So different place, different way of packing.
Yeah, because of course, more water, more kilo, more money.
Yeah,
right?
more expensive. Yeah. This is Pakesi. He's my good supplier. And every week he brings fish to us. Okay, so his fish is all net caught, no any cyanide or any medicines. So we really like his fish, and we can see the difference from him and then the other supplier.
Oh, yeah. And is there a way that you can see if a fisherman uses cyanide?
It's very difficult when the fish just come in and to tell the difference between cyanide caught or net caught. So what we need to do is have a really, really good relationship with our supplier, and we know the history of the fish, and we can trust this supplier. And this, of course, needs years to build this trust.
This is Nemo, right?
Yes.
And this is the new star when Disney will release a new film, Dory, which is a blue tang, right?
Right, that's true.
What was the impact of the film Finding Nemo on the business?
Oh, that was huge. It was a big help for the business, because everyone was looking for Nemos, for this clownfish. We think there would be a huge demand for this fish, and we already prepared for it. Hopefully, in 2 years, they are ready. We have a lot of stock for the customer.
A Aquarium fish, like food fish, are sent to the international airport at Denpasar every day. They then begin their long journey to international importers who will ship them to wholesalers around the world who, in turn, will sell them to retail shops or restaurants.
So everything we see here are fish that are leaving. This is going to Munich, this is to Charles de Gaulle in Paris, and the crates that just went by are for London. Tens of thousands of fish leave every day going just about everywhere with different suppliers. It's clear that Bali is one of the major exporters of tropical fish to the world.
The fish that very common is like a clownfish. Now clownfish, the increase of the price from the fishermen to the first buyer, the first middleman, they probably only twice more expensive. And then from the middleman to the exporter, they another double price. Now from the exporter to the importer, estimate probably they 5 times more. Okay. And then from that on could be like 20 to 25 times. But that's for the fish with a not high value fish. Now for the high value fish like angel or blue tang, that could be like 100 times. That is really amazing.
At every stage, the price shoots up. Made, the fisherman from Les, received only 10 cents for his clownfish. The market is expanding exponentially, putting more and more pressure on fish populations. Fish farming could help to meet the skyrocketing demand for both aquarium fish and food fish. Balinese entrepreneur Mr. Chu has an extensive operation. This reproductive center for exotic fish is one of the few to successfully breed some species of fish in tanks.
Ini kita taruh angel di sini.
Angel fish.
Yeah, angel fish.
And you can breed them.
Ya, kami sudah ada 4 jenis sudah bisa sukses.
Yeah, he's breeding. It's like four species now.
This is less damaging for the environment. I'm here every day looking after things.
Mr. Chu has even been able to create his own variety of clownfish. Their distinctive markings make them even more valuable on the market.
How many clownfish did he send around the world in the last year?
Around 1 million.
So what will happen when they're going to release the new Disney film, Dory?
These fish are very difficult to reproduce. So if I succeed, I'll be a millionaire for sure.
Okay, yeah.
I hope we'll be able to meet the demand with farm fish and leave the rest in the ocean.
He really emphasized that if it happened, I mean, like just took it from the breeding, not from the ocean. You know, it's more healthy, more beautiful.
So good for nature and good for business.
Thank you.
So what do we have here?
Ini ada Napoleon.
Oh, Napoleon.
Yeah. Bisa nggak, Pak?
Okay, bisa.
Napoleon fish numbers have dropped by 50% over the last 30 years because of strong demand on the food fish market. Despite an export ban, Napoleon fish are still on the menu in fine restaurants in China and Hong Kong. Unconcerned by their protected status, your chef will prepare a Napoleon the way you like it for the tidy sum of $250 to $300 a kilo.
When did he start this program with Napoleon?
Kapan Bapak memulai program dengan Napoleon ini?
The government of Indonesia started the program, but abandoned it. I took it over 4 years ago. It's an endangered species. We're trying to get them to reproduce.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a very rare fish.
Yeah.
It's under the CITES, so it cannot be exported to other country.
And if he's successful breeding it,
For science, it's going to be a great victory. Yeah.
Convincing other fishermen to use sustainable techniques is always complicated. We meet with them and explain things, and they'll agree to start fishing with a net. But after a few days, they go back to their old ways. So now what we do is link up with one local fisherman who then becomes our ambassador to the other fishermen in the area. But it takes time. Educating people, getting them to really understand, is a long process. So far, we've been able to set up teams in several areas, in different parts of Indonesia.
Unfortunately, nothing is black and white. So the problem is not black and white. You cannot say that these small-scale fishermen are criminals. You know, it's for them the amount of money that they make is very, very small. You cannot buy this fish for a good price and only pay, I don't know, a few % of that to the fisherman who's doing all the work, and this is all he has. Something has to change in terms of, you know, the value that the fisherman gets. If he gets a little bit more, maybe, you know, he's also more careful with the environment. So it's important to understand who benefits most in this industry. And there's always, I think, a case to make that the fisherman who is responsible should get a fair price.
Over 1 billion people depend directly on fish for survival. It's the most highly sought-after source of protein on the planet. And the global population boom will only increase demand for ever more fish. To meet this ever-growing demand, we need to take a cold, hard look at the ways fish are caught to ensure renewal of the resource. Blast fishing and cyanide fishing, already banned by law, must be subject to heightened monitoring in order to halt the disaster now in progress. It is vital that we rethink our methods of harvesting the sea's bounty. Sustainable fishing practices that conserve the fish and their environment must urgently be established if we have any hope of ensuring our food security for the future.